The opinions expressed on this program are those of the program host and guest and are not necessarily those of this station, management, staff, and sponsors. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time now for the Crown Car Care Show. Call in with questions and comments, 220-9788, 220-WSTU. Now, here's your host.
Feel like I'm on a bus.
All right, yes.
Running down Martin Highway.
That's it.
Heading down to Okeechobee.
That's right.
Greetings, everybody. What a fabulous afternoon it is here in Martin County. We're at WSTU Heritage Radio Station at the Central Base here at the foot of the Roosevelt Bridge.
Right. You're listening to the Crown Car Care Show.
Absolutely. We have Frank, you have Todd,
Mm-hmm.
and you have my wonderful co-host, Tamara.
Yes.
Hello.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Tamara. And Tamara's going to read us the local news, too.
Yes, she is. And
Take it away, Tamara.
Collections for Bahamas relief are still ongoing at Witham Airport, and organizers are asking especially for hand tools, hammers, nails, saws, just about any tool that you've not used for a couple of years but would help Bahamians begin to clear debris and rebuild their lives. As this relief effort continues, other news also is happening in Martin County. Last Friday, an important decision was handed down by the 4th District Court of Appeals in the Maggie Herchala case. The judges said that her case did not warrant a rehearing and that the $4.4 million judgment by a Martin County jury for damages to the Lake Point project will stand. She is expected to file an appeal with the Florida Supreme Court. This News Minute is brought to you by WSTU 1450 radio audience by Martin County Currents, your alternative source of local news.
Right.
thank you. We have a great radio show in
Yes,
store.
we do.
We're always going to start with news, and we're going to talk about some things about tire rotations. We're going to talk about a sloshing noise. We're going to talk about buying a used car. We're going to talk about a car that we purchased for Crown Car Care. It's something that we always have is the hybrid. We'll talk about a vehicle
Cool.
that we bought, a Hyundai.
Right.
And if we have any questions, people can call in. What's that phone number for us to call in?
220-9788, 772-220-9788.
Any of you have any questions out there, just give us a call. We'd be glad to help you answer anything we can.
Speaking of sloshing sounds,
Yes,
there's
sir.
4,000 cars right now.
Oh, no.
They're sitting off the coast of Georgia that are experiencing slushing sound.
And it has to do with, I believe, the ocean.
Yes, it's a South Korean cargo vessel carrying about 4,000 vehicles bound for the Middle East was listing heavily off the coast of Georgia. And official an operator, the Hyundai Glovis, said the media reports show the vessel had capsized.
Oh, no.
And the U.S. Coast Guard pilot and 23 crew were aboard the Golden Ray when it overturned in St. Simons Sound. About 20 people had been rescued. The rescued included 6 Koreans, 13 Filipino nationals, and the American pilot, the foreign ministry.
I would not
said.
want to buy any one of those cars. Saltwater damage.
They just cut a hole, and just late breaking news. I also discovered they cut a hole in the hull and hauled out 3 of the reformed people are trapped still in the ship. And they cut out the hull and were able to extract 3 of them. The 4th is behind a wall of glass.
Oh, no.
So they have to figure out how to extract them without creating
Well, keep them in our
addition-
prayers, just
Yeah,
like we have
yeah.
the people in the Bahamas who are every day they wake up.
Mhm.
It's a calamity, a
Right.
disaster, a total devastation on that island. And it's a small island. I don't believe it's big. And I believe there's several of them, aren't there? The Bahamas is a whole chain
It
of
is
islands.
Exactly right. It is. And this particular one is very nearest to us.
Yeah, I don't know the details. Did quite a few of the islands, or is it mainly one of them or 2 of them? I'm not sure.
The Abacos is the ones that
That really got whacked.
right, and the part of the chain is nearest to us, and 185-mile-an-hour winds for 2 days.
I
In
looked
fact,
at the wind, the topical view of time lapse of the hurricane, and it was just most bizarre how it was moving slowly, and then
1
all of a
mile
sudden
an
it
hour.
just stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped. And
Yeah.
decided to park for a while. I don't know the answers on that. I can just tell you, though,
Two
some say it
competing-
has to do a little bit maybe with some of the warming of the oceans.
No, it had to
I
do-
don't know what the details
Okay,
are.
well, the details are there are 2 high-pressure systems
And they
that
kind of
are-
trapped it.
Yeah, it was 2 steering currents, and it
Ooh.
kind of reached a point.
Kind of
that-
like if you put something in between 2 magnets, it's not going to
Yes.
move.
right.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Until those high pressure systems started moving, it allowed the
Pure science.
right. That's all it
Pure
is.
science.
Yeah.
Yep. Just a freak occurrence of the
Mhm.
chances that happened at the time, at the moment.
And it saved us by the grace of God.
Yes, it did.
Yes.
And it saved the whole United
could-
States because it
could have been us. Yeah.
Slow moving.
300,000 people right now in Nova Scotia are without power as a result of this very
not know that,
same
Frank.
storm.
Really? Has it finally dissipated after that? Or is
No,
it still climbing up to
it's-
Green? Maybe it's going to Greenland next.
It could be. It's now referred to as an extra tropical. So it's
Okay. So it's out of the tropics and it's still doing its rotation and things.
Yeah,
Awful.
type. Yeah. So yes. So thoughts and prayers go to our friends in the Bahamas.
I got something interesting.
Okay,
about
go.
Charging up a car.
Mhm.
A lot of people think when you have an electric car that the process of charging is kind of a pass or a free ride.
Yeah.
It's not.
Just plug it in
Plug it in,
like your phone, right?
but you
Yeah,
have to pay for it.
sure.
There's a lot of places that do give it to you. I know that if you go to some hotel chains and maybe some public municipalities, they may have charging stations that are just to promote green and get you to use your vehicle at that area. They may
Right.
not charge you for the charge, but let me tell you, it's most places now you have to have a billing set up through your car and through an app, maybe on your phone or computer, that once you link that charging plug into the car, there are 2 wires beyond the main juice that goes in that kind of
Yeah.
is a data wire. And
Uh-huh.
that data wire connects to your car and it links in with billing and credit card and the fees. So on average, a Tesla cost about $15.29 for a full charge.
Okay.
Okay, $15.29.
Not too bad. Pretty reasonable.
Pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the range. The
Cheaper
range
than
is
a tank of gas.
the range. Okay, given this car has a range of 295 miles, the
Mhm.
cost per mile is 5.2 cents or $5.20 for every 100 miles. So it's not free.
Right.
And you figure if you're getting 60 miles to the gallon with some of these hybrids, and I'll talk about the one that we just purchased for Crown Car Care, that gets 54 to 58 on a gallon of gas.
Well, is that mostly downhill?
No, it's and you know how they're doing these hybrids, and we'll talk about it. Is you're putting a bigger battery pack in to give you that range. Once you
yes.
charge it, you
So
can
important.
drive.
So there's kind of a balancing act, right? That they have
There
to
is.
do because the bigger the battery pack, the more weight.
there's a tipping point, so
you
to
have
speak.
to find that sweet spot.
But
Yeah.
the tipping point is a lot of early adopters with these electric cars, they were given a pass. I know with Tesla, the super stations were free of charge if you were one of the early purchasers of the Model S.
Right.
That has now gone away, and the grandfathering effect is no longer in place. So you are paying, and when you go to a super station, there's a premium that you pay because of the increased cost of putting. I won't get too much into the details, but when you charge a electric car fast, it's going DC to DC as opposed to AC through an inverter going to DC.
Right.
So the way you pipe it in fast
Yeah.
is direct current to the battery, which is direct current, not alternating.
Right.
So that's a whole subject matter that we could spend time on, and maybe on another show,
Yeah.
because it's most fascinating.
It is. It
Most
is fast.
fascinating.
Yeah. And that's where the technology is going.
Technology's coming. We've got, and
Yeah.
inductive charging is a bit slower and it does waste electricity. Even when you charge your phone, there is a loss. There's a parasitic loss that happens when you do inductive charging, even
I
though
love
it's more
that word.
inductive and parasitic.
Parasitic.
We'll have to
Yeah.
remember that word to use
That's
it
a
later.
good word. I like it.
Any more news we have?
Yeah, there actually is. There's some wacky things. The California highway barrier not repaired was responsible for a fatal Tesla crash. So the state of California is being held to account because of the death of a Tesla driver. So that's very, very
And you know who
interesting.
gave me that bit of news about the cost of charging a Tesla? We have deep researchers out in the field.
Oh, it's our crack
Well,
research is
Joan
yes.
and her staff
Mhm.
did some research and they found that out. And of course, they had to pour through many documents to come up with this summary statement that I read.
Mhm.
And we all have to always put a big thanks out to Joan
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
fabulous job she does. She's always researching, always looking for that bit of information that everybody misses.
Yes.
And when she picks that up, she pipes it right over to the WSTU station here. And we're always here available to give it to our
Yes.
listening audience.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ford is to cut its junk by Moody's on doubts over plan to boost their profit. The credit rating downgrade to a BA1 which is a notch below investment grade, reflects concerns about the cash flow and the profit margins that are likely to remain weak over the next 2 years. So that's very interesting news for people who are looking to buy Ford.
And I'm going to tell you about Ford.
Ford
And I
stock.
always have to
Mhm.
give credit to Ford.
Yes, me too.
When we were in that economic downturn, everyone
Mhm,
remembers in 07, 08, 09,
Mhm.
when all the major car manufacturers put their hands out
And they all,
and
Mhm.
they went to the federal government. You know who didn't do it?
right,
And Ford did it by leveraging
right,
their existing properties that they owned.
right.
So
Yeah.
I have to say, Ford did that, and I really give them credit, because if you can stand on your own and do what it takes to get the job done, there's so much.
Right.
I feel you're so much more authentic and, well, credible, I think is the
Well,
word.
I used to be a GM guy, right? My last car was a GMC Safari,
Mhm.
and I loved it. It was good.
They are a good vehicle, by the way. Those
Right.
They're like a half, not a full size van, but they're
Right.
decent.
Yeah.
Good vehicle, good mileage.
Put 4x8 sheets of plywood in there, haul a family of
How about
6
they hold rolls of
easily.
wallpaper?
Yeah, lots of that.
'Cause you rolled a lot of
Oh
wallpaper.
yeah, oh yeah. but yeah, I mean, after the bailout, I looked at Ford and I bought not one, but
You have two of
ultimately
them.
2 vehicles.
And
Yeah.
very satisfied with one, and you did get some satisfaction on the other situation, and we've talked at length on it on the air.
On
So,
balance, yeah. So Ford is big part of my life now, and so
Absolutely.
I like their products. On
I've always
balance.
owned Fords,
Mhm.
but I do have to say, and we'll talk about it later in the show, about
Mhm.
the Hyundai
Mhm.
Ioniq that we purchased for Crown Car Care, and it's a wonderful car, and I have
Yeah.
nothing to say but good things about it.
Good.
54 miles a gallon is nothing but good.
Yeah.
Real.
Isn't that
So,
amazing?
here's something interesting. A Google self-driving engineer, and this is from deep in the trenches.
Okay.
Self-driving engineer charged with stealing trade secrets.
Oh no.
Andrew Lewandowski was once one of Google's top driving engineers and was later fired from Uber. If convicted, he could face years in prison. He was charged Tuesday with 33 counts of stealing or trying to steal the company's trade secrets related to the technology. As you know, when you're an employee of a company,
You had
what
to
stays
sign-
in the company is in the company.
It's like a non-disclosure.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
creativity, engineering wonders, as well as those patents and things that make companies what they are.
That's what give the companies their value.
They belong to the company. Even though
Right.
you're working for them, doesn't mean you can transport it with you to your next job.
That's right.
And I am in favor of that, and it needs to be enforced.
Yeah.
So interesting. And that was again from Joan.
Mhm.
Good work, Joan. How about some more news? Anything else out there?
Yeah. Yes. As a matter of fact, there is. There was something about Goshen who made.
Oh, him? He's surfacing again?
Yeah. But before I get
Don't
to
tell me
that,
he escaped from prison.
Ford disrupts itself with Taycan. It is the quickest Porsche in production, but it represents a changing universe for the German sports car manufacturer. So it's changing its.
Well, Tamara, do you know who the largest automobile manufacturer is in the world?
No, I don't.
Frank?
No.
Who's the largest?
The largest automotive manufacturer in the world?
Toyota? I don't know.
Volkswagen Group.
Volkswagen
Really?
Group.
Volkswagen Group. They own Porsche, right?
Yeah,
Audi,
yeah. Mhm.
Volkswagen, and I think there's a couple of other smaller brands that are over
Mhm.
there. Big organization. And remember, who was the one that got in trouble for shenanigans with
Yeah.
the emissions?
But and not once, but twice.
Yes. And what they
As if once isn't enough.
you got to play by the rules. And that's one thing I can tell you Crown Car Care does. We've been in business here for 14 years. We have 2 locations. We have one over on Cove Road. We have
Right.
one in Palm City. Phone number to call is 772-781-8000 if you want authenticity, originality, and get the job done.
Mhm.
And we fix it right the first time you call us. We'll take care of you. If you're new, we're
Nice.
always looking for new customers. In fact, Cove Road over there with Mike has got plenty of room. If you're looking for an oil change or just a good old fashioned repair shop and maintenance shop that you can feel comfortable with, give Mike a call over there. You can call us at the 772-781-8000 number, and we can direct you over there and
Yeah.
make you an appointment.
Perfect.
And we'd love to have you as a new guest.
That's a
super.
great store. Both locations.
Both
are,
okay, and you've
yeah.
experienced both of them.
Mhm.
If I was just over there 2 weeks ago, Mike was on vacation and I ran the store over there, and everyone that came in, when they saw my smiling face, they were so disappointed not to see Mike.
I don't believe
They
it.
always say that. It's true. It's true.
Well, he is a delightful
He's a
guy.
delightful guy, and
Yes,
he's just
indeed.
wonderful, as well as over at Palm City. Fabulous fabulous guys over there, and just a delight to have all of them.
Right.
Paul over there at Palm City is a great guy.
Good,
Paul.
good. So one other item here I want to give you, which is a kind of on the positive note.
Yes.
August sales sidestep the storm below. So the Labor Day weekend rush pushed several manufacturers to monthly and all-time U.S. records in August, setting up the industry to post a stronger third quarter than expected. So that'll be that is very good news.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what else do we
I've
got?
been hoping to have, I'll just tell you what I've been working behind the scenes. The salesman that was over at Wallace Hyundai, I was hoping to have him as a guest on the phone.
Uh-huh.
And he'll have to meet with us another time. He's with a customer right now. But he was a great guy. I wanted to share the experience
All right.
that he gave me over at Wallace Hyundai. Fabulous organization, straight up, straight players, and a really good organization.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, something that I love about your Hyundai, that's something that we need to talk about, is all the technology in it with the Apple Play. What is it? Apple Connect.
Yes. Yeah.
And what you should do when you sell your car or you trade in your car and you have all this technology in your car and you need to clear that data.
Hey, Tamara, why don't you go through it? We have you. I know you had compiled a nice list on things. Why don't you go over it with us?
And I found out some more information that's quite interesting about it. But when you sell your car or you trade it in, you need to unpair your Bluetooth devices by deleting the connection to your phone.
Right.
That's important because
Very important.
you have no idea. Your contacts are all on there.
Yeah.
And reset your garage door opener if you have HomeLink in your car. And you can do that by pressing and holding the two outer buttons until the red light
I gotta
flashes.
say, I didn't know that. You press the two outer buttons.
Mhm.
Tamara told me you
Yeah.
press the two outer buttons, the light flashes, and you can clear out your thing. Because think about it. If
Very
you don't
important.
clear out the home button on your navigation, people could know. You never know in this world. And all I can tell you is if you're good about making sure that all your trails,
Right.
all your breadcrumbs,
Don't lead to your
Yeah,
front door.
because it's amazing.
Hansel and
You
Gretel
would be
breadcrumbs.
surprised.
You don't want it to lead to your front door. Then
When I was
know
researching this, there were some scary
there
things
is
that
some
have
stories
happened
that can
with
happen,
this.
and I don't have any
And-
examples, but I'm going to tell you it does happen.
Resetting your OnStar or BlueLink or Ford Pass.
Now that is OnStar and Ford Pass and BlueLink. It's actually, everyone thought it was a satellite connection. It's not. It's actually 2G phone. What do you think they do with all the technology from the previous technology and cell phones? They sell it to the bigger companies and they use it in situations like that. So it's actually a cell phone number.
And it says even if you do
That's
not
worthy of a
have
show.
a current subscription to those
Oh, it's
things,
still on.
that you need to cancel it.
Because
You
I
need
can
to
tell you-
reset it.
The problem with the 2G and in the previous formats is that they're easier to hack.
Yes. And
This is the problem.
I have a story, and I think
Chrysler had that problem with their Jeeps, right?
Yeah. Did we have a story? Did I talk about that remote takeover that I had on an OnStar of a customer of
I
mine
remember that.
that I had to take the internal antenna out
I didn't
of
know
the,
about
of the-
this.
on the video? That's a show in itself. Yes, it was. It was a
Wow.
remote takeover. I don't know who, what, when, where, but I know I fixed it.
It's
Sometimes,
really crazy.
sometimes
That
the
was-
results are better than the why,
Right.
as long as you take care of it.
Right.
So, in removing your sun pass, that's important. People
Yeah.
forget to take their
How
sun
many
pass
times
out.
have you?
My Sun Pass went with my car too. My Safari.
Well,
I
can
just
tell
found
you,
out about it this
when-
past week.
I'm going to
Yeah,
tell you
you'll
when
see charges
we
on-
have a case in point.
Mhm.
My wife Tamara, she drives a Ford Explorer,
Hmm.
and when we talk about used cars, I'll tell you, we bought it at off lease only,
Right.
fabulous place. But
Right.
remember, it still had a sun
It
pass
still had
on
a
there,
sun pass.
and it was still valid.
Oh my God.
And of course, once I saw it once or twice, I'm not going to.
Right.
I have no
Right, we
interest
took
in
it
taking
out.
advantage. We took it out, but I could have ridden that thing. Probably was for a rental car, and I could have ridden that thing for a year, and no one would have known it.
You're right.
And
But that's not what we
No,
do. You
no,
do the
of
right
course
thing.
not.
And the
Yes.
other thing is canceling or switching your satellite radio. I think people forget to do that as well. And another thing that I wasn't aware of, but it mentioned in my research, to disable tracking devices used by banks, auto dealers, finance
Let me-
companies, and insurance
let me tell you how
companies.
that works.
I did not know.
Many of these used car lots
Hmm.
that you would purchase where it's a pay as you go, a lot of times it's,
Okay.
the third tier type places where, people,
So they have tracking device.
if you don't make your payment, they shut the car off.
Captain Hook.
And they know where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is very common. I see it all the time in
Sure.
cars, and it's a good people. It's just sometimes your situations in your life force you to do what you have to do to get a car to
Right.
get to work. And a lot of times there's tracking devices, and, insurance companies will give you a discount sometimes if they allow them, them to monitor your driving habits.
Oh,
I
it's
know
in-
Progressive does that.
All
Some
right.
of the other companies,
Yeah.
Allstate, I believe, does it too.
Well,
Very-
there-
Get rid of all that. And with the list is long that you need to do this stuff. You don't just get rid of your car. You need to clear the deck.
and this is the reason why too. There's a gentleman, and he has an app, and it's called Privacy for Cars. He was in the wholesale car business, and when doing inspections, he said he was 2 clicks away from getting inside someone's house. He had her home address, the garage code, her doctor's office, her kids' school, and after school activity. It even showed the saved addresses for a cancer treatment center. So someone can find out so much information about you just by the information that is in your car.
And we can help you at
So-
any one of our locations.
Mhm.
If you have a question about this or you want further information, please don't hesitate to call us, 772-781-8000. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. I'd be glad to look at your car and check it to make sure it's free and clear. Let's just say because all cars have a life cycle.
Right.
And
Yes, and there is a law that they are trying to enact about
what's that, Tamara?
electronic communications. It is the Stored Wire and Electronic Communications Act. It's a federal law specifically governing car data privacy. It's in the works. So
Oh,
I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
so sometimes big government and the bureaucracy of those things is well worthwhile because a lot of
Well,
times the
technology-
average person can't navigate it.
Right. But what this is really instructive of is that technology is moving faster than government's ability to manage it.
And we see
Yeah.
that all the time.
Right.
How many times you've seen stories about cell phones and computers. And in fact, we just had one here in the city store, didn't we? With the city store's computer system, I believe. Wasn't there some wrongdoings going on with hijacking as well as ransom? So no one is immune from this, even the municipalities and federal governments.
Yes.
And we've seen it happen. NASA's been
Hey.
hacked.
Deerfield Beach, I think, got really hammered hard too. Same thing.
And you can't pay you
No.
can't pay. You just can't do it. It's like you don't kidnappers you don't negotiate with.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you're putting a even further compromised position.
Right.
And I think setting yourself up for again a situation. And that's why it's so important to back up your stuff. Always back up your phone and anything with your car. Just watch who you lend your car to and who uses it and what they got, because it can lead to random moments of badness.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how else to say it. It's not going to likely happen. I mean, it's rare, but it does happen.
Right.
Let's take a break and we'll come back and we'll further continue.
All right.
The opinions expressed.
Whoa, wait a minute. There we go.
Welcome back, everybody, for the second half of the Crown Car Care Radio Hour. It sure sloshed around fast over there in that first half hour. Ooh.
There's some splashing going on.
And what do you do if your car makes that sound?
Oh, you better give folks at Crown Car Care a call.
Yeah, Tamara, you got any ideas what that could be?
Well, I do have an idea, and usually it happens when you're turning a corner. If you have this problem,
And
you will
what's
hear
a
it.
possible solution on it?
Well, it's a clogged drain in your
I
door.
don't know if anyone knew this, but you know all the doors and things that open that have a glass. Usually they'll be glass.
Yeah.
When it rains,
The water's got to go somewhere.
water, it's not a perfect seal. There are drains, just like a sun. I don't know if anyone knew a sunroof is not a perfect seal. The way sunroofs are designed and the tops that open up, on a hard top, there is built-in drains, and there is always water draining out. It's kind of like a bilge pump
Right.
on a Hyundai boat. No, wait, that one's some. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always, and car doors, if those, a lot of times leaves and crud will get down in through the glass over
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
and it'll clog up those drains, and water will accumulate not only in the door, it can happen in the tailgate. It can also happen in your air conditioning drain.
Mm.
So a lot of times people will have a sloshing noise in their dash, and they'll bring their car in. I see it all the time. And if you have a wet carpet is usually a symptom of that.
Boy,
You'll bring it in. We'll
that
undo.
musty smell too.
We'll
That's
undo.
a bit
We'll undo
giveaway.
the drain.
Yeah.
And gallons. I've had gallons of water come out from underneath that. It drains underneath your car.
Yeah.
You've always wondered what that pool of water is when you park in a parking lot. It's the that's I guess it would be the condensation of the air conditioner working.
Right.
And it has to have a place to go. If that drain plugs up, just like in a door, if it plugs up, the water's got to go somewhere. And usually it'll stay in that cavity, and you can burn up, get electrical shorts. You can have electrical damage. You can have a blower motor that the fan that blows the air
Right.
through can get damaged and actually short out. So it can be a serious issue. And if you hear that sloshing noise, most likely it's a clogged drain in your door.
Door panels are loaded
In fact,
with
my
water.
pickup truck that we've talked about, the one I built, the F-250 Super Duty, I had that problem on the passenger front door.
Huh.
I was driving it with Jordan, my lead diesel tech, and I was asking, "What is that noise?" He goes, "I hear it now." And he opened the door and kind of shook it, and there was water. About a half a gallon of water was in there.
Wow.
So it can happen.
So generally there's a plug or so.
Well, if you open your car door and look underneath, you'll see there's usually the way the door is stamped, the stamped steel on the door, the way it's stamped.
Right.
Well, they take a sheet. The way doors are made is there's big dies, and they take big sheets of steel and they stamp them. It could be aluminum too, and they form it. Well, on the bottom of the door, there'll usually be a little nook, a hole in the door actually, where the water will drain out. And what it'll do is it'll plug up with leaves, and if you park under a tree, a lot of times that'll happen too. Or if the car's in the rain a lot.
Right. And oftentimes, I know when you open a door or something after it's been raining, you can see that water.
You can see the water coming out,
Yeah.
and nobody parks in the garage anymore overnight. So now cars are being outside. Remember, you used to use your garage.
Oh, yeah. What a strange
People used
thought.
to use their garage.
I know it.
Does anybody have a 2-car garage that they put 2 cars in?
No.
Please call in.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you another thing I've
I'm
noticed on
jealous.
newer homes.
Yeah.
They don't even make the garages really fit for a car. A lot of times they're smaller than they should be.
Yeah.
And what I don't like about our garage is we have the split in between.
Oh,
Yes.
You got to.
But ours is
Yeah,
a 2-car
it's a
garage, but it
2-car.
is bigger.
With a center
It's an
column.
oversized garage, but it has a split in between. So you can't just pull, it makes it more
I think
difficult.
cars
to pull
been
your
in there
car
every
in
once in a
if you
while.
ever.
When I had my Shelby Mustang, the car, it
Yes,
was
it
in there,
was
and my
a-
69 Mach 1, we kept them in the garage.
Yeah.
But it was a tough chore there because there's so much stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what it all
Because
is.
we don't have basements.
We don't have.
Well, you
because we don't have
almost need to
basement.
have those little creeper carts to put the wheels on the creeper carts so you can
We
move.
use those at our shops
Yeah.
when we have to pack them in tight because
Yeah.
we get busy at times.
Sure.
I mean, quite a bit of times. And
Yeah.
we have to really get the customers' cars
That's
in.
an excellent way to move, like in showrooms, all kinds of different.
Well, we have ones that
places,
have
yeah.
a hydraulic jack built into each one.
Nice.
So you put it under the wheel and then you kind of jack it up and it lifts the wheel right up and you can move it around.
I'm-
Body shops use them.
I met the guy who invented that,
Wow.
I bet he's,
Bill Keaton.
no kidding.
Yeah, and
Bill Keaton.
yeah, he's the
No.
one who developed that.
They're all over the place. Now you can even
Oh,
get
yeah.
them at Harbor Freight, which is,
Isn't that
that
amazing?
local
Yeah, yeah.
tool place where everything's made overseas cheap.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so
We
So,
love
anyways,
Harbor
that's
Freight.
great advice.
Here's another interesting thing. We talk about the cars. Let's go back to tires, rotating tires.
Very important.
Yeah, it's one of those things a lot of people neglect and don't. It's like
Yeah.
oil changes, but I'm going to tell you, rotating your tires is so important for the life of the tire and getting maximum mileage out of it. Tires aren't cheap. A set of tires can cost upwards of $1,500 for a set if you've got the high performance, low profile.
Let me ask you this. This is
Yeah.
a related question. Okay. And I've been having this conversation with my wife, and I always tell her when you're backing out of your parking space, rather than turning the wheel when you're at a dead stop, the car should be rolling.
Agreed.
When you turn.
Because when you turn it
it's
at
like
a
an
dead stop,
eraser.
you're erasing your tire, but you're also putting a load on your power steering, the whole car.
Right.
Think about that, because it has to overcome the friction and the weight of the vehicle.
Could you
on
explain
Earth.
that again? So when you are
Yeah, go ahead.
reversing out of
Right,
your park,
Right. When you are, when you're backing up and then you have to change the direction of the vehicle.
Mhm.
Right. So I tell her back up further than you think you need to. So you want to basically line your car up so to go straight.
So you want to position your wheel so the next move is
So when
you don't have to like turn the wheel while you're sitting still.
because when you put it in drive, automatically the car will want to go straight because of the design.
That's right. Yes.
So it'll start to right itself, but under rolling motion. So to straighten the car out is very little turning needs to take place.
Well, think about doing if you're parallel parking.
Yeah.
Here's a good example of where
Yes.
sometimes you have to do it.
Right.
Think about when you're parallel parking and you have to turn the wheel to change directions. You don't
Mhm.
have that luxury.
Right.
And you're turning the wheel while the vehicle is running, but your car isn't moving.
Right.
And you can kind of feel the body shift a little bit when
Mhm.
you turn the wheel. Well, you know what's
Ah.
happening. You're wearing your tires out and you're putting a heck of a load, not only on the ball joints and the suspension, the tie rod ends, but you're also putting the load on the power steering and the pump.
See.
So and over time, I'm not saying it's
Right.
a remarkable amount every time, but
There
it
is-
can be remarkable over time.
Mm-hmm.
So
but back to rotating the tires, that
Yes.
is one thing that I noticed when I had my tires rotated. I did notice a big difference in the smoothness of
well, the
Yeah.
tires
How my
wear
car-
depend.
and I'm not somebody that's super in tune with my car and notices these type of things. So it was a big difference.
And
for
you know
me.
where a lot of the tire wear happens? You'd be surprised. These cars that are the engine's in the front,
Right.
drivetrain's in the front, it's front wheel drive. The back end is very light.
Mm.
And a lot of times that'll be bouncy, and you'll get all kinds of abnormal tire pattern wear on the rear,
Right.
which is
Because
the
of-
opposite of the old days.
Because it's front wheel drive.
Front wheel drive. And
Yeah.
that's where, so you really, you're
Because the back tires are hopping.
it's hopping along. In the
Right.
old days, it was rear wheel drive, and you used to wear the front out.
Right.
So
But that could be indicative of having maybe some issues with your shock absorbers.
well, shock absorbers, and I'll also tell you with an alignment.
Right.
Many people think an alignment is only the front wheels.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And then not only is an alignment more to it than you think, a lot of people, when they do an alignment, are only setting one of the three measurements that's needed in an alignment. And that's worthy of a show too. A lot of times the toe is only set, and you've got a caster and a camber adjustment on most newer cars
Yeah.
that need to be in tune. If you don't,
Yeah.
camber can cause a horrible tire wear, and that is the tilt inward or outward of the wheel, the
Mhm.
tire. So
Mhm.
inward or outward.
Yeah.
And the shopping cart effect, and you go to Publix and that shopping cart wheel spins around, that's caster.
It's the
Yeah.
worst.
Okay, that doesn't cause tire wear, but it can cause a pull.
Yeah.
But the camber is like a top. If you think of a top, when you
Spinning.
roll a top, it's
Mhm.
got taper on it. It's going to roll one way or the other, depending on where the smaller
Where the
round
spin-
surface
Mm.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's camber.
Ah.
So camber can make a big difference, especially on the rear. And there is toe on the rear on most cars too.
Yeah.
Toe. So it's
I learned
more than just the front.
Right.
And we've done an alignment for you, and
Yes. And,
and
I
you've
watched
picked
the
up on it,
process.
and and I'm going to tell you, you're a living testament to how much a balance
Wow.
job makes a difference in a
Wow.
rotate,
Huge.
right?
Huge.
So let's say I get new tires. At what point should I be checking them that I would need?
If you're
to have
buying a new
them
set of tires and you're spending
rotated?
$1,000, you
Mhm.
need to be spending money on an alignment. It's the best money spent because you don't know what you've hit. And rotating the tires every 3,000 to 4,000 miles, every oil change.
Wow. Okay.
You're
I
not going to
didn't
go
know that.
wrong, and you're going to the value gained from rotating tires
Right.
far exceeds the cost of getting it done.
Right.
There's a small charge to do it, but if you're one of my regular customers, many times we'll just throw it in
Right.
because if we got the wheels off and we're doing the brakes, we're going to rotate them anyway. You don't even have to ask. I'm just going to do it.
Right.
But Always ask.
One of the things that I learned too, and I've discussed this with you and my son too, and this has to do with the nuts, the bolts that hold the wheel onto the hub.
Oh yeah.
So when you're some of the cars today, especially my Ford included, those edges round out pretty quickly because there's softer metal.
Yes, they do.
And so there are replacements that you can purchase that are better designed.
You're talking about the lug nuts.
Yes, the lug nuts.
Wow.
Lug nuts will round out over time, and it's not something anybody's done wrong.
No.
It
no.
just happens.
From the normal.
Well, it's like brakes today. Brakes,
Right.
It used to be you put brake pads on the
Mhm.
car and you'd, so to speak, quote unquote, turn the rotors.
Mhm.
It's different today.
Yeah.
Rotors are now part of the braking process,
Mhm.
and the sacrificial metal is part of the rotor. You don't you replace the rotor on 90% of cars today. It's not only the right thing to do, it's the safe thing to do. And the wow factor is you don't get that wicked vibration that a lot of people
Right.
experience when they put their brake pedal on. And we've
Mhm.
talked about that pulsation. So
Mhm.
rotating your tires is a simple, easy thing that you can have done at Crown Car Care.
Okay, keep it rotated.
Keep it rotated.
And we'll be right back.
Welcome back for the last quarter hour of the Crown Car Care Radio Hour. We are
Righto.
Crown Car Care. We have two shops in Martin County, one on Cove Road and one in Palm City. Been in business 14 years. Every week we do the show. Every week we talk about cars, and that is our life. And we would love to have you.
It is your mission.
It's my mission. We
Yeah.
would love to have you. Joan would love to meet you. Paul would love to meet you. Mike would love to meet you. All my technicians would love to have you as one of our special guests. We treat everyone special. You're part of our family. We're family owned. My wife is with me. We have two kids, Max and Eden. And boy, Martin County is a great place to live, isn't it?
It's a great place to raise
Except
your
for that
family.
scare we
Sure
had a couple
is.
weeks ago with
my
this hurricane,
God.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, it's a great place. A little bit hot.
Right,
We got some heat here.
right.
We
So,
will enjoy
yes.
the winter.
So we want to take Jim Cantori's picture, Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel,
Yes.
and do, the symbol with no,
Yes.
the circle with the line through.
Yes.
Definitely don't want him to show up back to Stewart again.
No, we don't.
I don't watch the Weather Channel. So
Apparently
it was
he
so
was
funny
here.
because on
He was here.
Yes.
He was on Martin County beaches. He was at
Bathtub Beach,
He was
right?
all over
Bathtub Beach.
because
I
all
think he
my
was under
friends
the
on
Roosevelt.
Facebook
House
had
of Refuge,
pictures
yeah.
with him.
Mhm.
Wow.
I'm like, who is this man?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's huge with the Weather Channel, but you never want him to show up to your hometown
No, you wouldn't.
because he's
It's a bad sign.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Well, let me tell you, 2.5, 3 weeks ago, I purchased a Hyundai Ioniq, which is very similar looking to a Prius, which we
Yeah.
owned a Prius, and
Mm.
that's something I work on and fix. And I
Maybe a
know
little bit smaller, right?
this Ioniq is bigger than a
Oh, is
Prius.
it bigger?
Much
Good
bigger.
look.
Oh,
Okay.
it's bigger car.
Really? Okay. I'm
It
surprised.
is fabulous technology. It gets 54 miles to the gallon. And one of the little secrets that it does is it puts a bigger battery pack, and it is lithium ion, lithium
Mhm.
polymer.
Mhm.
Whereas most of the older, well, not the newest Prius, but the one I had was that nickel metal hydride, which doesn't have the energy density.
Right.
So if you go with a higher density type battery, which is the lithium, and you go with a little bit bigger, you can get that extended cruise on electric longer.
Mm.
And most of that charge, as you know, comes from the regenerative braking when you come to a stop. So
that is
why
so
not
cool.
really use that power? And it really boosts that mileage by about 10 miles to the gallon. So we're looking at a real 54 miles to the gallon.
Wow.
It's a fabulous car. The technology is just over the top, and it's nothing fancy. It's just basically an entry level, mid-20s type car, which, as we know, it's the realities of the world today.
Right.
As much as I don't want a car to cost 23 to 25,000, unfortunately, that's what we're dealt with.
Right.
And I believe this is a good car. I can't give you a long-term report. It's a short-term report. The reviews are good on it. And on my book, it has lane assist, which is something I've wanted to experience on a daily basis. And I'm able to really hone in on it and understand it. And when I can understand it better, that means my customers, when they have questions or concerns with it, I can better answer it. And so can my employees and
Very
technicians.
important,
It's very
yes.
important for me to keep
Speaking
up to
from
date. I have to keep up to date on this
Actual
stuff.
knowledge. Absolutely.
Another interesting feature on it is it has what they call Apple Play, which has been something I've been slightly resistant to because I love technology. I'm cutting edge with my business in terms of fixing these things, but a lot of times I don't adopt it in my own personal life. It's one of those things. I'm the mad scientist who just won't, still resistant on it, and I haven't now. I've embraced it. It's something that your phone hooks into, and it really allows you to do that hands-free operation, which, as we know, in Florida, state law does not allow you to hold your cell phone or text anymore. So I've embraced that notion, and now I'm going to tell you it is a lot easier, and the integration process that happens with the car is seamless. There's no hiccups. It really is dialed in. Of course, you can't look at pictures, and when you text, you do have, it'll read you your texts. But the process of talking through your car and then connecting via your phone is as if it was one.
Yes.
The center screen looks like a large version of your phone. Mine happens to be an Apple. And I'm just going to tell you, I am all in favor of it. If anyone needs any information on it, needs to know a little bit about it. I'm not the resident expert, but I sure know a lot now. So I have some experience, and I've really embraced it. And I've really am understanding it better. And I'm going to tell you, this lane assist is fabulous. And the collision control, we've talked about these driverless
cars. I'm so
cars.
scared of that lane assist, that whole notion.
Yeah, it's not scared. Again, no, we've talked about the driverless cars. We're not ready yet, I don't think, but we will eventually. It's coming down the pike. But I'm going to tell you this.
When you start veering off your
so
lane.
it really keeps you alert.
Okay, so it's not going to take the control away from you.
No, it will. But if you overpower it, it won't. But if you lightly hold the wheel, it will keep you in tune. It's not going to steer the car a lot, but it'll keep you right in check on that lane. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, it's spot on. I don't see a negative on it.
I was afraid to do that when you and I were test driving the Tesla. I could not bring myself.
Was I afraid of it?
No.
I let go of the wheel, didn't I?
I know. It's like, yeah.
And I like that accelerator too.
Yes,
I think I put you in that. Well, you were in the back. I was going to say I put you in the back seat, but you already were.
Yes.
I put you in the trunk.
I was pinned to the back seat
several occasions, but again, we had to give a full road test and and we really needed to know what those cars were about.
Yes.
And we found out they got a lot of power.
Yeah.
Those Teslas. But this Hyundai that I bought, again, it's a simple car.
So what is the 0 to 60 on that?
It's average.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of car.
It's not
but I'm going to tell you, it's not. Well, it's
got some zip, huh?
It's got some zip. You go back to some of these cars in the 70s that we thought were the hot rods and the muscle cars. These little economy cars will beat them.
No.
You'd be
And
shocked.
for an economy type car, I think it looks really nice. It's
Again,
I
it's
didn't even
for
know
for
what
an
this car
economy.
was.
I hate to say it, base car.
It has a nice look.
A nice
Right.
look.
Nice and
Paint's
clean.
Well, I
good.
think you called it a pregnant roller skate.
But it's quite roomy inside, and my kids like it,
Yeah.
and their friends have been in. They don't think it is an economy car. They're kind of like, "Wow, this is nice."
Well,
And-
good.
And I'll
It's
have a
not
long-term
bad. I like
report. I
it.
keep things for a
How,
long,
how
long
old
time.
is Eden?
She's
11.
11 years
11.
old.
All right.
Now,
so
here's the story on it.
another 4 more
Yeah.
years. She
Now,
could
the
be
car,
driver.
the
Yeah,
car sat on the
exactly.
showroom floor for 1 year.
Okay.
It was made in October 2018, and I picked it up because no one would buy it. It was looking for a home, and I went in to buy a used
So
Prius.
You
and
adopted it.
I adopted it,
Yeah.
and
That's so funny that it was sitting there for so long.
a whole
that
year.
nobody
That car
wanted
was
this
made in
and that was the
October
only-
2018. It was when it was made. It
Right.
sat there for a whole year, and no
And
one
that was
purchased
the only model.
it. It was the
there.
only hybrid that they had at the dealership here in town, and. You know me, I'm going to be attracted to that, just like I am
Yeah,
purple
of
pants.
course.
If it was a pair of purple pants, I'm going to be attracted to that too. It's just me. But
Yeah.
boy, I love it, and I'm so satisfied with
Isn't
it.
that amazing? Yeah.
And the experience at the dealer, because you know that we have a relationship with the local dealers here. If we have to buy dealer parts, we have a working relationship with
Sure,
them. I
you
don't
have
sell
to.
new cars, and I don't sell cars, and we all fit together in the automotive puzzle.
Right.
And if we all get along and we're respectful to each other and we all understand each other, we get along.
Yeah.
Talking about used cars, our last subject, the benefits of buying a used car. Here's an interesting statistic that let me see if I can get this about the value of a car, how it drops.
Oh, yeah.
3 years.
Like a stone, right?
Yeah. Here is.
I have it right here. The average price of a 3-year-old used car is a little less than half of what it would cost
Yeah,
new.
That's it. Thank
Mhm.
you. Yeah. So that's a bit okay. The average price of a 3-year-old car is a little bit less than half of what it would cost new. It's called depreciation.
Yeah.
Takes a hit. And you know, the more luxurious product you buy,
Mhm.
the bigger the hit.
Oh,
But there's a caveat.
All
As
right.
you know, when those luxurious cars then have all the fancy bells and whistles,
they're
when
expensive
they
to
go
fix.
out of warranty,
Oof.
be prepared. If you're buying a high-end BMW or a Land Rover, we fix them. I used to own a Land Rover, but be prepared and don't be sticker shocked on the price of the repair on it, because many times they can get expensive. For example, the air suspension on a Range Rover can cost several $1,000s to fix.
Well, expensive cars have more expensive repairs. It's just.
But again, no, it's
How it is.
again, it's just I like my
But-
little Hyundai I
But with
bought.
the used cars, one of the some information that I found out were that there are so many vehicles that are coming off leases and they're in good shape. They have low mileage and they make up nearly 1/3 of the new car sales. So now, like the 2016 cars are coming off, a lot of those
Yeah.
are coming off leases. And it says that means that more than 4 million will become available for purchase as used cars.
And they're
this
decent
year.
cars, and they've been maintained from a fleet. You know, it's not perfect, but by
Right.
gosh, it's better than someone just beating the heck out of it. And off lease only down there in West Palm Beach, and I know they have a place in Orlando. I've bought many cars from there, several. Great organization. I know all these dealerships here in town have used cars. And speaking of used cars at the dealership, many people
Mhm.
ask me this question: is a certified car worth it? And I will tell you, you're getting a greater peace of mind, and you're getting a big company, namely the manufacturer, to stand
Mhm.
behind that used car that you're purchasing. So I would have to say it's worth it.
Okay.
You know, someone like me, it might not be worth it because I know cars and I can
Right.
pick through it. But if you're
Right.
the average person, it is well worth spending that extra bit on a certified car.
And,
And,
if you
and you're looking at in real dollars as far as being worth it. What are you thinking? It being a dish in as opposed to not-
$500 to $800 more on the price of a car you're going to pay for
Okay.
a certified,
All
but
right.
you're going to get the cream of the crop, the hand picked, the cherry picked,
super
know,
clean.
the super clean. They're not
Right.
going to certify a piece of junk.
And
Right.
if you're not buying a certified pre-owned vehicle, you can bring it to Crown Car Care
And
for
we-
a second opinion, and we
and
will.
In
Take a look
general,
at it.
unless you got me looking at it for hours, I'm not going to charge you. If you just want me to do what I call a used car check and give you my take on it, there's going to be no charge. If you want me to spend all day on it, checking everything, you got to at least buy me lunch.
And one of the things I read,
Right.
something to look for that I wouldn't have thought of, but maybe I'm sure it's something that you look at, is looking at the tires.
Oh yeah,
Because
the
old tires indicate a lack of maintenance,
As well as the
and possible
brake pedal and
suspension
gas pedal.
problems.
Yes, look at the pedals. Yes, we used to. That was the first thing I would do.
and pull the carpet up
Yes,
to look for a flood.
yeah,
Sloshy. Right? You don't want to buy that one that's on the Hyundai
right.
Express going to the Middle East.
Oof.
Hurricane Katrina had a lot of cars surfacing through the United States that were flooded cars. I've seen a few of my dealer or my repair shops. So,
Wow.
what a great show it's been. It's been
Yes,
fast and fun.
thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Tamara. And we'll catch you all next week, right?
That's
Bye-bye.
right. Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.